He's on his deathbed, and he's telling me the strangest bit of gossip I've ever heard. And I'm thinking my dad's going to tell me something really, really important. And I have been traveling for days, wondering what my dad's situation is and how his heart is. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is some wild, wild rumor. And I start laughing my head off and thinking, man, this guy is so, so weird. My father. Needless to say, he doesn't talk much after that. He's really, really not in a good situation, and I'm really, really worried. He can't really breathe, and we are sitting there, and I just start doing the talking and telling stories and trying to figure out how to manage the situation. What can we do to get him to recover a little bit so we can leave? Because he's had a pretty massive heart attack and they're not going to operate on him. I need him just to get a few days, and maybe we can get him back, bring him back to Canada, bring him back to the States, bring him back to the West somewhere. I need him to survive. Because he's alive. He's not dead. Oh, brothers and sisters. All right, what do we got to do? Better food, better medicine. You have no idea what medicine is like and the hospitals are like. You've got to work with the doctors, hustle with the doctors, bribe nurses, go run and find the right dosage of medicine, almost administer everything yourself. The situation is pretty bad. We're in a village or a town, and this is not how I would have expected to be taking care of my father. And I'm thinking of that guy, because now here I am. My father's in the bed, and I'm at his bedside, supposed to be serving him. And I have let my father be in the worst situation I could imagine. I gotta get him out of here. Days go by. I'm just praying and doing everything I can to make my father as comfortable as possible in a situation that there's nothing I can do, and hoping that we can get him out of here. Look, if we can get him out of here in a couple more days, well, then a couple more days, and then becomes a week, and then 10 days, and I'm like, doctor, his situation's getting a little bit better. Maybe you can allow us to get out, because I'm hoping, and I'm telling them, if we can just get him out of the hospital and they release him, and we think he's just a little bit more stable, and maybe he can move, then we can get him on a plane and we can bring him back to Canada and maybe put him in a hospital or get some real treatment. It's December 1999. I'm in India. It's been a couple of weeks. Finally, the doctors say, okay, we're going to let him go. I'm arranging the tickets for me, my mom, my dad. We're going to get out of here as soon as we can. I'm taking him from the hospital back to his home in Lucknow, India. Brothers and sisters, of all of my journeys and all of my trips and all of the places I've ever been, I'm having pretty much the worst journey of my life. It's been a couple of weeks. My father's now almost mobile. We've had people coming into the hospital, massaging his body, getting him up to a little bit more strength so that he was able to slightly be carried / walked out of the hospital so we could get back to his house and possibly come back home. We're walking from the little taxi rickshaw thing in the little gully alley that goes through the backwater streets is a loose term, brothers and sisters, of Lucknow, India. And I'm holding my dad, and my cousins are holding my dad, and we're carrying him through the little alley to get into the house of his house in India, the house that he grew up in. And we walk in through the front door of his house that he hasn't been in since the morning of his heart attack. And as we're walking into the house, we pass the front door, go into the main courtyard. You see, in India, the houses are designed where you go into the front door, and then the houses are actually open. There's a courtyard with no roof above. And to the right of the front door, there's a little bathroom, and then a staircase that goes up to a little rooftop patio area. And underneath the rooftop patio area is the open courtyard, and then little cubicle rooms around the courtyard. A very old-fashioned style house system. And so there I am with my dad for the first time, with him coming back to the house. You see, I'd been staying at the house sometimes at night, sometimes sleeping there, usually sleeping on the edge of the bed with my father, as I should be, thinking that if any moment he wakes up and asks for anything, I'm his son at the side of his bed, ready to serve him, because I keep thinking of that guy, brothers and sisters, that guy in the cave. There's nothing I can do to repay the debt to my father, so here I am, bringing him back to his home. My goal for the last 2 weeks, I'm finally doing it. I'm finally getting him back to his home, because if I get him back to his home, maybe I can bring him back to my home. Because the last thing I want is to lose my father. And so we pass the bathroom and we start passing the staircase. And under the staircase, there's this little platform underneath the stairs. And as we're passing that, going towards the little cubicle through the courtyard, my father stops in the middle of the courtyard and looks underneath the staircase at the platform. And he says to me, "Something happened that night." And I say, "What night?" He said, "The last night." "What last night?" "Something happened that last night." "What last night?" "The night before my heart attack." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Let me lie down. You take care of your mother, settle everybody in. I have something I need to tell you." What's going on, brothers and sisters? You're listening to Hot Conflict. This, as you know, is the strangest story you have ever heard. Oh, you've been waiting for it, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I settle my dad down, get him by the bed. This is that moment. I take my mother upstairs. She's been sleeping on the upstairs roof area. There's a little room on the patio area. It's a little bit cooler at night. I settle her in, get everybody's stuff taken care of, 20, 30 minutes, do all the stuff that needs to be done in the house. My cousins are doing different things. My dad's settled down. My mother's taken care of. Everybody's gone to the bathroom, water, food, service, all the other stuff. Everybody's getting ready for bed. I go back downstairs. My father's lying in the little hammock-style wooden bed, Indian-style, traditional. Got the little sponge mat. I sit down next to him. And I say, "Daddy, tell me, what's going on?" "It was the last night," he said. "That last night. I'd got up from the bed here. I'd walked through the courtyard. I'd gone to the bathroom. And as I came out of the bathroom, I was walking back through the courtyard, back towards the bed. And as I looked towards the stairs, underneath the stairs, there, on that little raised platform area, right underneath the stairs, I was standing in the middle of the courtyard, and right underneath the stairs on the platform, I saw it. You saw what? I saw one of them saw what? I saw a jinn. What kind of a jinn? It was a lion. It was a lion jinn. It had the body of a lion and was sitting on the platform, sitting like the lion sits. And it had the face of a man, but the lion jinn, and it looked right at me. I said, what did you do? He said, I stood right there in the courtyard. I looked at it, and it turned its head, and it looked at me. I said, what did you do? Were you scared? He said, no, I wasn't going to be scared this time. I started reciting the Quls. قل هو الله أحد. قل أعوذ برب الناس. قل أعوذ برب الفلق. I started reciting the Quls. He says, I started reciting the Quls. I said, what happened? He said, I took a little step towards it. I said, really? He said, yes, I wasn't scared. What happened? Nothing. It just kept staring, looking at me. It didn't move. It kept staring at me without moving, staring at me, staring at me. But I wasn't scared. I kept staring back, and I kept reciting the Quls. I kept reciting the Quls. The 3 parts of the Quran, the 3 chapters of the Quran that the Prophet recommended as a protection. I kept reciting the Quls. I said, what happened next? He said nothing. It kept staring at me, and I kept staring at it, and it wasn't moving, and I wasn't going to move. Now, brothers and sisters, you have to understand how close I am with my father and how we talk about things and how important this moment is, that even though my dad is sick, my dad is dying, my dad can barely breathe, I say, oh, Daddy, what's the matter with you? Why didn't you recite Ayatul Kursi? What were you thinking? I yell at my father like that. My father says, I don't know. I ask him, why didn't you recite Ayatul Kursi? He says, I don't know. I didn't think of it. I say, why? What was the matter with you? What were you thinking? And I'm yelling at my dad. Now, of course, my dad's not mad at me because he knows this is a crazy situation and I'm freaking out. He said, I don't know. It just didn't come to mind. You know me, I'm not Arab. I didn't learn the original language. I'm Indian. I just barely learned the small chapters. I only have a few little chapters by heart. And Ayatul Kursi is kind of a long verse. The verse of the throne is long. It doesn't come easy to me. And when it was happening, I just didn't think of it. So I said, what happened next? What about the lions? What happened? What does that mean? I said, I kept looking at him, and then something happened, and then your cousin shook me in the bed, and I woke up. I said, wait, this was a dream? I said, this was a dream, right? This didn't really happen? He said, no, this was a dream. What does it mean? I don't know, my father says. I don't know. But the next morning, when I woke up, something was wrong with my heart. I woke up and something was wrong with my heart. Something was wrong with my heart. Anyway, you should go to sleep. Kid, it's late. Go rest.